On this episode of the 5 Paragraph Podcast, I, your host, Michael J. Penny, am sitting down to discuss accountability and how it goes both ways. What do I mean by this? Accountability goes both ways in a business leadership capacity because you as the individual have the ability to, yes, manage up by conveying your thoughts, your ideas in an organized fashion, in a clear, concise way, so that leadership can see, yes, okay, this individual has their stuff squared, all locked tight, and will give you the green light to go and engage in whatever your mission is. The other way that you manage up, let's say, for instance, somebody is messing up in a certain way, and you're demanding accountability out of your leaders. Remind them of the consequences that are associated with their actions. I myself, coming out of the military, this is easier said than done. Even when you're in the military, you have people who are of higher rank than you, and so that is an intimidating thing. When you remind them of the Uniform Code of Military Justice and the consequences pertaining to the actions that they're partaking in, it becomes a pretty simple thing. Not to say that it's easy, but it's pretty simple. And I have seen plenty of Marine sailors and otherwise go down for their actions because subordinates brought it up to superior officers and leadership that were out there. Does it happen every time? No. But that is another way to maintain accountability going up. Now, getting back to how you actually get the green light, using 5-paragraph business plan, what you do is you draw elements out of your higher leaders' vision for success. What they have tasked out, yes, for a mission overall for the organization, but through your talks, through an information that you've gathered as well from the additional leaders throughout your organization, you're putting together a clear, concise picture of where you're at right now. And this will be during the preparation phase, call it your early executive summary on what is actually occurring. And then you start going through your 5-paragraph business plan template, start filling out some of the key areas, enough to be able to brief somebody on it, to be able to give them, let's say, an elevator pitch on it. So you have the ability to knock on your leader's door or to organize a meeting, however you do it in your organization, but present your ideas to leadership in a clear, concise way so that when they look through it, they go, all right, makes sense. Gives you the green light and be able to move forward with whatever those actions are, whatever you want to do. I talk with business leaders all the time. I was talking with somebody earlier in Toyota who's doing good things. Great guy, fellow veteran over there. Hope to be working together. We'll see. There are other folks that are out there like Medical Mutual Insurance, folks that we have worked with on an individual capacity where they've gone off and succeeded and done great things. And all that it boils down to is just putting together an organized vision yourself. So drawing upon those other examples that are out there, but putting together a vision from your own understanding, putting that together and building a business plan to be able to go out and attack a market, to be able to innovate, to be able to invent, to be able to break off and create a completely different department in another adjacent market. And that same plan that you brief your leadership in order to get their buy-in, you're briefing your team. Because what you're doing there with a 5-paragraph business plan is you're pulling together all of the ideas, probably the feedback and ideas that you have coming from your team, I should hope, and putting all of that together into a clear, concise vision. Then you back brief that to your leadership and go and move forward. Any additional changes, situationally flexible, situationally dependent changes that occur out in the field, those are fragmentary plans, essentially fragmentary orders, and they're also in the book, the 5-paragraph business plan. This is based on the military's operations order. All right, so what we did is combine the military operations order with the nuts and bolts great business plans and other business practices, successful business practices, in order to put together a business planning method specifically designed for entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are business leaders who have an entrepreneurial spirit. They're behaving entrepreneurially with the backing of the larger organization. And so how do you get yourself into that realm? You yourself are a business leader. You have all of these other different great ideas. How can you prove not only that those ideas should be pushed forward, but also maintain that accountability of not only your people, but your leadership that's out there? When you organize all of those thoughts and put them all down into a document that someone can pick up and multiply, there's a power associated with that. When you put it down into text, there's a power associated with it. You can multiply your knowledge. And there's a lot of folks out there who are, they're basically told, okay, whoa, you got to slow down for a second, right? Because change happens not overnight. It happens gradually. And that's okay. That's understandable. You don't necessarily always want change to happen overnight. If you did, you would have just knee-jerk reactions all the time. Right? So the other way to think about this is it's like checks and balances, right? So without going too far tangential, kind of a deal here, from a system of governance within an organization, let's not go for the either extremes, the utopian extremes or the radical extremes, depending on how you look at it. Let's look for something that's in the middle, right? So to look at how we govern ourselves, or how we're supposed to govern ourselves, right? This similar sense can be applied in business. And this is why I specifically say accountability goes both ways. So I'm not saying that you can walk in Monday morning and all of a sudden demand a 5-paragraph business plan, but man, I would love if you did. Because it's, how often are you given a business plan? Are you briefed what the plan is? Do you have any idea what's going on? I bet there are a lot of people out there who just have no idea actually what's going on inside of their organization. They just get up and go to work every day, and that's great. Good on you. But it's like I had a conversation with an executive not too long ago. She will remain nameless, but she was asking about, okay, how do I get these people who just don't care about, they're just not passionate about work. We hired them, they're passionate, maybe they're burned out over a certain period of time. They're a good hire, they come to work, they show up on time, they look the part, but they don't have any buy-in. And for me, the answer is simple, because if you want buy-in, you have to get them to have skin in the game. And a lot of folks, they'll tell you, incentivization is more time off. Incentivization is not necessarily always more money. It's being able to spend more time with their family. It's being able to work remote. They prove themselves in such and such a way and then work remote. Wait until you look up, if you're a business leader and you're trying to figure out whether or not your people should work remote, start doing your research on it. Honestly, there's a lot of data out there that shows people who work remote and work from home work more. Whether or not that's a good thing. Because you're immersed in it. And I'm one of those people, I enjoy working from home. I definitely enjoy it. It allows me to be comfortable and yet disciplined. So there are other folks that are out there who definitely enjoy working from home. Now, how do you maintain accountability when they're working from home? Have them back brief you on what they're doing. Make sure that you're debriefing on what they've done, and then compile all of that into an after-action review. And you should be doing that, I hope, quarterly. These are very, very simple things that we work with leadership on in order to just bring in a little bit more of that accountability that we have been, I guess you could say, bestowed on through our service in the military. Now, again, this isn't an anal retentive thing. The whole idea is empowerment. So you have, let's say, for instance, the scenario is you're an executive. We work with a lot of C-suite executives that are out there who say, hey, I have great people and I want to let them run with the ball, but I don't want them to just go out there and totally be alone and unafraid. Totally understand. Same thing could happen in the military. We call it going native. I myself have a background as working as an advisor, and we're in a small team. So as advisors, what we would do is assess, train, advise, assist with the Afghan uniformed police. And we would train them in daily stuff like cop on the beat, uniform appearance and professionalism, things that they identified through assessment that they wanted to have happen. And so we applied our methods, being formal school instructors, curriculum developers, we applied our methods into training the Afghan uniform police in a whole host of things that they wanted us to do. All that we're doing with 5 paragraph here is the exact same thing. I literally am taking all of that knowledge, all of that training, and bringing it across into this realm. Frankly, because if those of us who are advisors can go overseas and work with folks who are passionate, don't get me wrong, especially the folks that I worked with in Kajaki. I mean, they're very passionate about what they were doing. If we can work with them, given the language barrier, the inability to tell time in a lot of scenarios, if we can work together and actually conduct operations together and frankly learn a lot from one another, there were a lot of learning experiences that we could pass along to fellow U.S. military service members that we gained from working with the Afghans, things that we would never even think of. And the enemy over there is predominantly Afghan, so it makes sense on the backside of this. So how does this carry out in entrepreneurship? Well, you can't just go out there and do your own program and do whatever you want to do. You have to operate under the guidance of a superior force. So you have to conform within the vision of that overarching force. And that's exactly what 5 paragraph business plan offers you as a C-suite executive. The ability to visualize the same way that a general would, construct a plan, call upon the council of your leaders that are out there in order to create the plan, but then allow your leaders below that to draw elements out. So you've delegated it, but allow those leaders, each chain all the way down, to draw elements out and create their own plan, back brief up, go and take action. And it's the exact same way that we do it in the military. We work with you, the leader, to create the plans. You're the one who's writing things out. We're helping you and advising you through the certain elements. We can help you sift through a lot of your information. We can work with other members of your team in the early phase, and then you go, hey, we want you to come in and do a day-long workshop. This is what we did with Mid-Michigan Healthcare. So we worked with them remotely over the computer, and we did screen shares and other various things like that in order to get the plan where it needed to be. And it was good, it was solid. And then we turned around and did a workshop, a day long. It's 8 hours of programming. You know how it is. You have a breakfast or a lunch or a happy hour. So really it's 6 hours of education, right? But it's great. It's auditory, visual, kinesthetic learning, practical application, so that at the end of it, everybody is starting to write their own 5 paragraph business plans. And I can tell you more about how it all goes down. There's definitely going to be a link when I'm done with this Periscope to where you can go back over to 5paragraph.com. You're viewing, if you're on Periscope and you're checking me out on Twitter at Michael J. Penny, Penney. I am going to start doing a lot more of these Periscopes while I'm recording the 5P podcast, just as a little bit of a crossover here. So if you're not familiar with 5paragraph.com and the 5 paragraph business plan, go ahead and check it out right now. If you're listening to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, or any of those fine mediums that are out there, 5paragraph.com is the home of all of this. We manage the chaos. We help you out. Just get in touch with us. We're advisors. We're not industry consultants. I guess you could call us management consultants to an extent, but our goal here is to empower you with a tool and a method to go and carry out action. And we can tailor these workshops. We can even tailor training packages. So you say to us, hey, my goal is to do education. Yeah, we can help you out with that as well. Because it's just the next progression of 5-paragraph. And again, remember, this goes into accountability going both ways. Because what we're doing is we're offering up tools that you as the leadership can provide to your team that you as the individual can start using right now. So have we done individual one-on-one education and instruction? Yes, that's part of our training packages. Have we done tailored workshops? Yes, and that's part of our training packages. Can you yourself go and seek certification remotely? Yes, we just released e-courses. That's how to create your own executive summary. That'll hope you get the green light. And then you get the green light and now I've got to create the entire business plan. Great. So the e-course, how to create your 5-paragraph business plan, that's up and available right now. So if you're wondering how to get this, I'll have links for you out there on these episodes, on the Periscope, what have you. But check out 5paragraph.com, training drop down, boom. If you want to go to the start menu first, obviously, I'm one of those guys. I'm the guy, I'll tell you right now, I'm the guy who set up the website. If it's all messed up, tell me. I'll flat out tell you, it's a Shopify website. I have no problem telling you that. I want you to work with me and our team, and that will make everybody better. That's the whole point. So if you're checking it out right now and you're going through the website or you're doing anything else, hey, what are we talking about here today? Accountability, right? How does it work? You're open, honest. When you're open and honest and you start on the truth, you're happy, joyous, and free. I'm going to tell you right now, there's some good orderly direction for you. When you're open and there are some people who are like, whoa, man, that is too much information. That is just TMI, brother. And it's like, no, if you're open and honest about how things operate, I'm not saying go off and be disgusting willy-nilly. What I'm saying is be open and honest about how things work. And when you do that about, how you're working, when you do that, then you provide a round table, right? Me personally, I enjoy working in a round table scenario. I don't want to work in a hierarchy scenario where Mike sits on a throne and starts just laying out orders. I do not want that to happen. I want to work in a round table scenario to where each one of us bring our strengths into this equation. And that's the whole point, because you yourself can never achieve greatness. A team can achieve that level of greatness. That's how we're going to get to that level of greatness, right? So for me, accountability especially is being open, honest, transparent with my team members, with those who are higher ups, because I have higher ups, even as the founder, even as the creator of this organization, I have higher ups. Everyone does. I hope that you do. I hope that you're working with mentors who hold you accountable. I hope that's happening. I hope that you're working with others that hold you accountable, that will call you out. One of my one of my favorite people to talk with about things that are going on in the organization, or to just throw stuff his way, is Thomas McPherson of McPherson Marketing Group. He's a fellow veteran. He helped me out in the early stages of 5-paragraph. And if there is something that is messed up on it, he will flat out, it's brutal, honest criticism, and it's constructive, and thank you. I appreciate it. He is brutally honest and to the point without being offensive or overtly mean. And I love that about people. When I find that as a characteristic in another person, I latch onto that person. They will just bluntly, honestly call me out on my BS. I love that. I honestly do. And if they're going towards the path that I myself want to go towards, then I gravitate over. Because when you're around those people, when you're around other folks that are achieving something, let's say, that's higher than your level of success where you're at, you're going to start behaving like them. I mean, this is an age-old principle. So that's me personally. I look around for those blunt force truth people, especially when I'm putting together a group. And in another episode of the podcast, you're going to be hearing from Mr. Adam Bird of Heroes Media Group, and we're going to be talking through what his dream team looks like from a persona perspective. What are the personas that he likes at the round table, so to speak. So this episode has been on accountability, upward, backward, side to side, round table. It goes both ways. Me personally, I always just go back to 5-paragraph business plan, be able to throw something down, clear, concise, simple, back brief it to leaders, brief it to subordinates, go and take action. And there's debrief and after action review that needs to be done, and we'll talk about that in another episode here. But this is how accountability works both ways, because when you're putting a plan together, your leadership can hold you accountable to it. Your subordinates can hold you accountable to it. And your leadership, per that plan, because they gave you the green light, you're holding them accountable to it. And if, God forbid, anything ever happens that's super ugly, everything has been laid out in a plan. And there are consequences attached to anyone's actions without going extraordinarily negative. Accountability goes, it should say, every other which way. Accountability. It matters. So thank you so much for being a part of the 5P podcast. I really do appreciate you listening and sharing. Be sure to subscribe, rate, review the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, a variety of different places that are out there. We're going to be getting into some more dialogue discussions with some other folks, and I hope to be doing a lot more of the Periscope stuff. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. I might cross over straight over to @5P Plan if you want to check that out. So hope everybody's doing well out there in Radio Land. Stay tuned for the next adventure of the 5-paragraph podcast. Until then, take care and be well.